The other reason I bring it up is because I noticed in Match of the Day they said that this game, in this game, Newcastle had over 4 expected goals. I actually asked the head bods at The Athletic to provide me the numbers from Opta. They were slightly different because obviously there are different models, but it is so far of all games this season the highest amount of XG created by one team. Newcastle with 3.55 expected goals according to Opta against Fulham. We should note here that in the second place is Liverpool against Bournemouth. It was 3.32 expected goals. They scored 9 goals in that game.
Well, so that's where I think maybe the difference in XG comes for Liverpool's that one game.
It's possibly just that, right? Also a note in here, Man City, Man United is 4th, 3.3. But speaking of XG, we had a question from Jan Kleiman, who says, I don't really get the expected goals stuff. I mean, this statistic only says how many good chances are created, doesn't it? It doesn't account for who takes the chances. And he goes on to use an example of Lewandowski, JJ, that would presumably overperform XG because he's better than other strikers. Is that the case?
It's sort of complicated, I think.
It's sort of complicated.
Yes, sort of. Because in a way, no, because the model should be that you can apply it to everyone, and then certain players are so good that they can break that model. That's why you get players like Lewandowski, Messi, Kane, Holland tend to score over their XG. So they sort of break the model by repeatedly scoring over it. Yeah, and that's how you measure really elite players. But most players will balance out. Some will have a good game where they score over, and some of them will miss in different sort of games. But it's to do with, it's not a perfect model, it's to help you analyse a game. It's not, you can't rely on it.
XG from an individual game isn't particularly useful always, is it? It's a good descriptor of how many chances a team created in a game, but really over the course of the season is better. I mean, the bigger the data set, the better. Is that not the thinking?
I think the bigger the data set, always the better for those sorts of analyses. But the idea is then that you can work out who's really got control of a game and who should maybe have scored it. Like, so Arsenal Spurs, I'm not sure what the difference was, but like Spurs would have created clear chances. Even though it looks like Arsenal are dominating the game because they've got all the possession, all the ball, maybe the clear chances are created by the team playing the counter-attack games. You think of the teams in the past who've beaten, like, so there'd be FA Cup games where like Wrexham or Chesterfield or something like that will have beaten a big team like Leeds or whatever, and they've done it by sitting deep, absorbing all this pressure, but the other team can't score because there's no chances. They're having to shoot from long range, which is low XG, but then they have one chance at the other end and they get a 0.8 XG, so it ends up being like a 0.8 to 0.3, and you can see that they've created the chance from that. So there's no right way to play in a game.
We just actually released a video. It was written by John Mackenzie on the Tifo Football channel about penalties, Seb, and how they're potentially overrated, in which I learned that the XG from the penalty spot in a penalty situation is 0.78, which is pretty much the highest you can get, right?
Yeah, because I think we make the point in that video that sort of most good chances, like what could be considered a good chance, is kind of 0.6 XG.
Yes.
And the disparity with the penalty conversation is that most of, like, I'm not sure how John calculates it, but the area where most penalties are conceded has an XG value of about 0.3.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference.
Oh, I think it was lower than that, wasn't it? It was like 0.06. Anyway, watch the video. I can't remember, but I think it was lower than what you said.
I think it's higher than that, but it's watch the video.
Let's you and I meet in the middle and discuss Thiago Silva and his. Oh, read the book. It's not in this sample, but there is a whole chapter on XG in this book and a chapter on XGA. Is there? No, that one was cut. Okay, but the XG one is in there. Very good.
There was once upon a time. But
the thing is, we cut good chapters to make space for just the highest quality of chapter 52.
And that really does describe how precise and lean the book must be.
Let me just take a random page of this book and read to you a line. In chapter 17, know your influences, Helenio Herrera. Yeah, this is one for the history bods out there. Catenaccio, the Italian word for doorbolt, has become a byword for defensive, even negative football. Yes, look at the things you're going to learn in the book. And that's just a bad example because I fear I may have made people less likely to buy it. It's not all about the past. Most of it's about now. But anyway, that's How to Watch Football, available for pre-order now on all good book websites and shops.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Daniel Taylor, Ollie Kay, Amy Lawrence and Rafa Honigstein. There are journalists dedicated to each Premier League team, so every fan gets the coverage they deserve, not just the big clubs. And you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.